Try cases out there all the time. You live with these people. You drive your Tesla around town with these people. What are your thoughts about this first jury note?
Vinny, I agree with Eklund. This is a great sign for the prosecution here. We knew Habib Balian did an outstanding job during that opening argument, but the fact that the jurors want to see his demonstrative, this is great news. And having Chanley there, I mean, obviously we're watching it through court TV, but she's our eyes and ears on the ground. And when those jurors are getting along, that's also a good sign. I mean, the last thing you want is a jury that, they're not talking, they're not socializing, because you have some jurors who are already ready to convict. And it's just a matter of convincing, I don't want to say holdouts, but those that are a little bit more uncertain, those that want to deliberate for a few days. That's why they're asking for that timeline. They want to use that to convince those other jurors to come around and return a guilty verdict here. So the state already has some. They just need to get all the jurors. I mean, let's not forget they volunteered to be on this panel. They got that summons, but here in Los Angeles, you have to agree to serve for longer than 30 days. And they started in March 2020. They came back. Judge Wyndham gave them the opportunity to get off. So these are jurors that want to be there. These are what I like to call professional jurors, not folks that are missing time off work or, can't take care of their kids. So they want to be there. They're going to deliberate. I think anything more than a couple weeks, you start to get concerned if you're the prosecution, but the judge is going to let them deliberate, because every opportunity to grant a mistrial, to continue this case, to call a new panel, we know the defense wanted it because of Durst's medical condition. Wyndham has said no. So he's going to read them the instructions. He's going to read them the Allen charge, and he will give them as much time as they need until they come back and they say, we are hopelessly deadlocked, Your Honor. So I wouldn't be surprised if it lasts more than a couple weeks. But if it does, then if you're the prosecution, you have some holdout jurors and you start to get concerned.
The jury wants to see and hear, and it may be what they saw and heard today, is R. Kelly in charge, right? Calling the shots, telling people what to do.
Well, clearly, and I agree with Kirk, I mean, the jury is not going to like R. Kelly. They didn't like him before, but they're certainly not going to like him after hearing this. And now we know why the defense desperately tried to keep this evidence out, motion after motion, in limb, because it's terrible for R. Kelly. He says, I'm going to expletive you up, or I'm going to make sure something happens to you, to these young women. And so much so, one of the victims had PTSD and couldn't testify. And that's why we had the DHS agent have to bring this evidence in. So this is going to be the final blow for R. Kelly, and probably what ultimately gets him convicted, his own words. It does help him. Already it's a tough federal case because you have that federal constitutional component. Now the jurors have to decide between murder and manslaughter. May just split the difference and go with manslaughter.
Hey, Neama, did they prove the case here?
I like what Kim's talking about, the side-by-side, but really, I mean, the alarm.com evidence, either Ford is the unluckiest guy in the world. He turns off his alarm. There's a video of someone leaving his house, then coming back right when the fires are lit. I mean, the state has more than enough evidence to convict here, not to mention the gasoline. So Kim is right. The jury is going to return a guilty verdict. And I agree with Kirk, but not because of the makeup of the panel, but because of the evidence. More than enough here.